Hi, everybody. It's April 11th, 2026. Um, I see signs of, other people that I could relate to, but mostly this adult life in this society is there's kind of a kind of barrier around each one of us, even according to the people or relating to the people that's closest to us. So we kind of lose a portion of empathy because this boundary that surrounds all of us, we feel like, how could somebody possibly comprehend what I'm going through, what I think, the feelings I feel, my life, my situations? How could anybody possibly understand me at all when I feel so isolated, when there's nobody reaching through the barrier to even touch me, even remotely close? So, this kind of society or this condition that we live in, where it's isolating and this portion of empathy is gone, how do we get fulfillment out of life? And I'll be the first to say that you don't necessarily have to have a whole bunch of friends and hope and just dating everybody that you want to be necessarily happy. But as people, we thrive off of communication. We thrive off of empathy. We thrive off of understanding in the relationships that we have with each other. They may not be a requirement for survival, but they are definitely the deepest and quickest way in order to, fulfill our souls, to fulfill our lives. So, how do we get around this in this society? Um, how do we uh, get close enough, but still remain ourselves? And I think the answer is just being empathetic with yourself, trying to see, like, what is it missing that I wish somebody else would give me. And so kind of you kind of share this with another person, and you kind of start to relate to another person. You get closer and closer, and then and slowly you start to understand each other. You start to share things, and things start to be common between you two, and this relationship kind of supports you in your endeavors and your your comprehension of life. So maybe this starts with one person and it just keeps on growing as people are invited to a safe space where they can relate and communicate and get to feel inside of each other's barriers. So this gets me to thinking about moral memory. Um, I guess the simplistic view of moral memory could be um, the simplistic view would be remembering all the times, all your shortcomings where your morals were lacking, or where your morals didn't come through, or where you did immoral things. So moral memory could be a source of guilt that you carry with yourself in your current life, and it doesn't necessarily damn you or you know cancel out your good things, but this moral memory gets to some people, and so some people, they find themselves giving up on trying to be moral because they believe maybe an unspoken belief, but they believe that there's no coming back from what they did, or like their guilt is amplified by this isolation we feel in our society. As I was saying before, this isolation kind of incubates and kind of amplifies guilt. It amplifies feelings of inadequacy. It amplifies feelings of uh, disproportionate uh, alienation. So, with your moral memory, your faults and your past is going to be louder in the case of your internal dialogue than it would be if more we were better at communicating with each other. And the way I found around this is that uh, there used to be days upon days, continuous days that I would keep on trying to get better, to keep on trying to heal myself, to avoid pain, emotional pain, to avoid awkwardness, to avoid unconfidence or inconfidence, whatever, however you say it. But like, so what I found from these days I kept on repeating, where I kept on failing, I found that the story kept on repeating and the story kept on starting over and over. So applying that to my moral memory, I found that the story starts over. I could start over and stop doing things that I believe are immoral or slipping up and causing pain or causing disruption, because I could always start over. There's no ending that happened yet, so I could always start over and improve myself and abstain from doing immoral things the best I can. The second thing I can say about moral memory is mercy. If you want to get in touch with your moral side, it's a good practice to remember mercy, whether it was you giving mercy or whether mercy was given to you by anybody, by a human or by God. When you remember mercy, you realize how precious it is. Because if you, for an example, if you owe money to a company, if you are in debt, you see how relentlessly they hound you, how they get you to feel guilty over the phone, how they guilt you into feeling like you're a criminal. They keep on hounding you, calling you every day. They don't care about your peace. They don't care about your circumstances. They want their money from you. And so, how do we, in terms of mercy, in the parts in life that give you mercy, like maybe sometimes they forgive your debt. They call you and say, we have a deal for you, or they say, we're just going to wipe it clean because we know that you are going through unfortunate circumstances. So in an example, those times of mercy, you see how much they save you from stress. They save you from distress. They save you from listlessness and hopelessness. So you can see how mercy is a great occurrence to remember, because it kind of negates the hounding of your moral fiber, the hounding of your moral concept that you have of yourself. And the last thing I can say about moral memory is it is good to develop kind of a satellite observation in others, and it helps you too. So like when you see somebody who has been hounded by their past, they carry their past with them, and they you see that they're suffering from what happened. If you can implant your viewpoint into them, your viewpoint of understanding, your viewpoint of mercy, as I said before, or your viewpoint of wisdom that negates their struggle with their moral or immoral past, if you can implant that into them, that is going to save them from the mind inside of them, or the part of their mind inside of them that punishes themselves, or or retards their progress. If you can implant that in somebody, that is going to come back to you, not as karma, but as a signifier of your power to invoke change in somebody's life. And when you can see that you can invoke change in somebody else's life, you kind of get the agency to do that to your own life. So I hope this helps. Thanks.